Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all things filing taxes as a self-employed individual. I'm going to start by putting in a disclaimer. I'm not a tax professional or a financial advisor. Please seek professional advice if you need specific help regarding your taxes or finances. I'm just here to tell you guys about my experience, my first time filing taxes self-employed. I do have a couple specific things I want to talk about, so let's jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is just overall basics regarding my tax filing. So I did use TurboTax Self-Employed to file my taxes because it was my first time doing it. I wanted to do it on my own. I mean, again, through software, of course, but I didn't want to hire someone to do my taxes, mainly because I want to be involved enough in the experience, at least this time around, to understand what to prepare for next year, which is a lot of what I'm going to be telling you guys about in today's video is what I wish I had done better to prepare and get a bigger refund at the end of the year. To start out, I'm just going to tell you guys my overall income that I had. So for those of you who are new around here, I am married. So my filing status was married filing jointly. So in terms of W-2 income, so this is any employer related income, not my self-employment income, we made a total of $50,282 last year. So that was a combination of my W-2 income as well as my husband's. My husband does work very part-time right now, so he only made about $14,000 in 2021, and I made about $36,000 from my 9-to-5 job, which I worked from January till the end of July before I quit. So that is 7 months of full-time 9-to-5 income for me, and then random on and off part-time income from my husband. His job was an hourly waged job. So on top of our W-2 income, we had other income that we had to report from the year. So the first one, which is really quick that I'm going to talk about, was I did win this random prize through Victoria's Secret Pink, and I got a $1,000 gift card. Now it all sounded great at the time, but you do have to pay taxes on prize winnings. So I did get a 1099 miscellaneous, I think, form from Victoria's Secret, or the company that they did the giveaway through. And I had to pay taxes on that $1,000. So that plus my business income or loss totaled $1,708. So if you can do math, you'll know that $708 was the total business income that I made from 2021 through all of my self-employment endeavors that I was doing. If you've been around here for a while, you're probably thinking, you only made $708 for the last part of 2021 for those 5 months. How is that possible? Well, that is because that is after business expenses. So if you are a self-employed individual, whether you're doing gig work, you're a freelancer, you're making YouTube videos, whatever that looks like, make sure you are tracking your expenses. So next, what I'm going to tell you guys about is each of my 3 self-employment income sources that I had in 2021. I'm going to tell you how much money I made and then what my business expenses were to get me to that net income of only $708 that I had to pay taxes on. So we're going to start with pet sitting. So I was doing pet sitting through Rover, and I made a total of $2,600 from the 5 months that I did pet sitting in 2021. So the expenses for this work were related to any supplies regarding pet sitting, as well as any vehicle fees, so parking, mileage, things like that. Here's where I want to give you a huge, please, if you're taking anything away from this video, it is this. If you are using a car for any type of self-employment job, I don't care what it is, if you are self-employed, you should be tracking your mileage. Don't estimate your mileage because I guarantee you're probably going to underestimate your mileage. I use the app Stride to track all of my miles, and I'll have a link for you guys in the description below to download it. It's completely free, and that is what I always use to track any miles that I drove for my 3 different business endeavors. So I will tell you about the others in a minute, but using the app Stride, I was able to see that I had $513 in mileage expenses that I could subtract from my income of pet sitting for 2021. That is wild. That is a lot of money to not have to pay taxes on. So make sure you're tracking those miles. Now, I want to add one thing here of a lesson that I learned throughout this year doing my taxes, which is not only do you need to track your business miles, you should also be recording how many total miles you drove using your car over the year. So that's the thing I did not have, and I had to estimate, which the IRS is okay with you estimating this number, but the more accurate the better, because they want to see the percentage of the total car usage that is towards your business that you're doing. So what that means is I had to look at any of our oil change receipts to see what our mileage was at different points throughout the year to try to estimate what the total mileage change was on our car. But if you don't have those, then you're going to be at a loss. So if you are doing self-employment stuff right now, then you need to go outside, get your mileage written down for your car, and then you'll have now until next April, which you can at least use as a gauge to look at 1 full year of mileage change on your vehicle for personal and business use. Then take Stride, you put in the number of total miles for business use, then TurboTax Self-Employed does the rest, which is super easy and nice. So after all business expenses for pet sitting, I was looking at $2,082 of taxable income, which again was my net profit from that self-employment gig. Next, we have grocery delivery. So I was doing Instacart grocery delivery, and my gross income from this self-employment gig was $725. But this one, I had a mileage deduction of $284, as well as a supplies deduction of $52, which was for insulated bags, portable phone chargers, multiple things I bought when I first started doing Instacart. All of these expenses brought my taxable income down to $389, which is like nothing. And then my last income source for 2021 was YouTube AdSense. So through YouTube, I made a total of $336 in 2021, which is not a ton of money, but in 2021, I did really start taking my YouTube channel seriously, and I invested in things like my camera, Final Cut Pro, a few social media related courses to learn more about social media and marketing, and my business expenses totaled $2,099. So here's your learning lesson for this one, guys. If you're starting anything that's a business that you want to hopefully make a full-time gig in the future, please still track your startup costs. I feel like when people think about tracking your expenses for a business, they're thinking of like you're starting a clothing store and you want to track the cost of all the supplies that you purchase for your store. But that's not the case, okay? I made $300 from YouTube and my expenses were almost $2,100. So I had a net loss of negative $1,763 from my YouTube channel. And here's where that comes into play. Through all of my self-employment income, all of that gets added together. So my pet sitting, my Instacart shopping, and my loss from my YouTube channel to get me that net income of only $786. And here's where that's important. If I hadn't tracked all of my startup expenses from my YouTube channel, then I would have had to pay self-employment taxes on over $2,000, $3,000 worth of self-employment income. But because I tracked all those expenses and I operated at a loss for my YouTube channel, I was able to only pay self-employment taxes and all my taxes on $780 through all my self-employment gigs. So seriously track everything, because there's multiple things that I missed that I had invested in on my YouTube channel that I didn't have receipts for, so I didn't report as an expense. You never want to report something you don't have actual evidence to back up that you purchased for that self-employment gig or that business. So make sure you're keeping good documentation. A few things that I missed, just for reference, is some equipment that I bought for my desk, my external hard drive, an extra memory card, things like that. Those little expenses add up. And if I had kept track of all of that, then I could have almost probably got my net income to zero, which would have meant not paying taxes on any of my self-employment gigs. The IRS could definitely audit you at any point, so make sure you were seriously only expensing things that were only for your business and that you have good documentation to back up. Stride also lets you record any expenses besides mileage in the app. I find it a little bit finicky and complicated to do, and I'm always worried that I'm going to forget. So I actually only use Stride for mileage purposes. But for those of you who have been around for a while, you'll know that I used YNAB all through 2021 to do all of my budgeting and all of my expense tracking, etc. So from there, I was able to really clearly see in my budget what I spent money on throughout the year, and then search for the corresponding receipt so I could expense it on my tax return. If you are not tracking any of your expenses, make sure you at least track your business expenses through some way. And YNAB is a great way to do that. I personally love YNAB, but it is $100 for a year subscription. If you want a free 30-day trial, I do have a link in my description, but I currently have stopped using YNAB because we really just can't afford renewing it right now. I just finished my year-long subscription last month, so I spent literally, I think 12 hours creating a Notion template that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in a future video that helps you track all of your income, all of your business expenses, and then ultimately gives you how much you need to be paying in quarterly taxes, as well as keeping a really clear log of what each expense was and the ability to attach receipts to each of your transactions. So if you're interested in that, or if you're not self-employed, but I'm assuming if you're this far into this video, you probably are, it also is just a great way to track your personal budget and your personal expenses. So make sure to stay tuned, subscribe if you want to be notified about that video. It'll be coming out in a few weeks once I have everything settled and I got all the kinks worked out so I can actually share the template with you guys. It's an extensive Notion template. So if you're looking for a good budgeting template in Notion, make sure to stay tuned for that video. One other thing I forgot to add, my main takeaway I had from my experience filing as self-employed is to make sure you delegate exactly what each expense is for. If you're getting to the point where you're actually tracking your expenses and you're working more than one self-employment gig, you want to make sure it's super clear. If you paid a parking fee, what was that for? Was it while you were doing this gig job? Was it while you were driving to a client meeting? Which exact income source is that expense related to? I didn't really think about this, but when you file self-employment taxes, if you're doing multiple gigs, you have to file separate Schedule Cs, if I'm remembering correctly, that show your exact income for that gig as well as your exact expenses for that gig. So I needed to have my pet sitting expenses separated from my Instacart shopping expenses, separated from my YouTube expenses to be able to actually file correctly. So if I could go back and do it again, what I would do is make sure I put a note next to every business expense I put in my budget saying exactly what it was for and which job it was associated with. Another thing to keep track of is exactly how much of your apartment you're using for a home office. If you did have a positive net income from one of your business endeavors, I had a loss from my YouTube channel, so I wasn't able to claim the home office deduction, but you'll want to make sure you know about how much square footage you're using for your office as well as the total square footage of your home or apartment. So all of this is to say that our total income that we had reported for 2021 was $52,099. Then we took our standard deductions, which totaled $25,100 for both of us, which left us with a taxable income of only $26,381. Now, I had paid quarterly taxes in Q4 of 2021. So after all of this was added together, we ended up getting a $2,500 federal refund on our taxes, as well as almost a $2,500 DC state tax refund. So our tax refund this year is almost $5,000, which is seriously life-saving. If you've been following along the past few months, you know that we just made a huge move down to Florida from DC, which was extremely expensive and basically blew through the rest of our cash. Literally, I was looking the other day and our net income, it was like $132 in terms of cash. We do have some investment funds. Cash money, we had like $130, which is actually terrifying. So this month has been an overall great month for my work. I've been doing a lot of VA work and consulting, and I've really started to make a lot of it back the past few weeks, but that combined with my deposit from our apartment coming back, and then on top of that, getting this almost $5,000 tax refund, and hopefully it'll come in the next few weeks, means that we're going to have quite a bit more cash to work with, which is extremely amazing because we're hoping to move to Orlando in the next few weeks or month. I'm not exactly sure yet. We haven't figured all of that out. But currently we're living with my sister-in-law and her husband right now while we kind of get our feet on the ground and figure out where we're going to live next in Florida since moving down here. And I wanted to be able to save up some money post-moving because it was, again, super expensive. So this is really making it feel like it's actually going to come soon and we're going to be able to move into our new place in a month or so. So I'm really excited for that. And I have officially started planning our tours and going up to Orlando, checking out different neighborhoods and areas and really thinking about where we actually want to live. So again, that's more stuff to come. I'm going to be sharing all about that journey and how it is trying to get an apartment when one of us is self-employed and the other one is technically not working right now, but is going to have a job once we move there. So it's going to be a little bit complicated getting into an actual unit. So we'll kind of see how that goes and stay tuned. But I'm super excited for the future and I'm really looking forward to sharing the whole process along the way, showing you guys apartments, and you guys can give me your input on which apartments you like best. So if you do like apartment tours, things like that, then again, make sure to subscribe. But that is all I have regarding my tax experience this year. I think it went really well. I'm very pleasantly surprised, and I paid about $180 total for TurboTax self-employed, as well as filing our state taxes in DC. Since we did live in DC through February, we will have to still file DC state taxes in 2022's tax year. So that's unfortunate because we'll have to pay to file state again next year, but that'll be the last year because Florida does not have any state income taxes. Woohoo, thank God, it's amazing. I'm very happy about that. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.